All right, welcome everybody to our Volusion broadcast today. I'm hosting, my name is Trevor, and we're going to talk about the fraud score for just a minute today. Now, you're looking at a Volusion account right now on your screen. This is actually under orders and then process orders. Okay, so if you want to get to your order screen like I'm looking at now, if I go to orders and then process orders, it'll usually take you in to your orders, which, by the way, I need to, hold on, let me log into this real quick. Dashboard. So if you go to dashboard and then orders, process orders, you can see what kind of orders you have coming in. And most of you guys who have been in business for a little while, of course, this isn't news to you. You're getting sales in here, and this is where you're processing a lot of your orders on Volusion. Now, why I bring this up, it's not to go over this tab and all the intricacies behind it and some of the things you can do. It's more to point out this little issue right here, which I'm going to circle with my pen and explain a bit more about. This is a fraud score, okay? How many of you guys have noticed these scores on your orders? They vary in number. Few of you, okay? And you'll notice some are higher, some are lower. You'll also notice on this particular one that's rated 189, it refers to it as a moderate risk, okay? Now, just because it has a fraud score doesn't mean that it's fraud. Every order has a fraud score of some sort. Let me explain this a little bit better. So I'm going to take you over to the Volusion knowledge base for just a second and read off what these different levels of fraud score actually means. We're going to be reading right here, okay? It says there are 3 levels of risk. You've got minimal risk, you've got moderate, and you've got high risk. Minimal risk indicates that the system analysis identified few factors indicating illegitimate card use. The moderate level indicates that some data points are potentially fraudulent, and then high risk means several criteria have been identified as fraudulent or suspicious. Okay, so basically when somebody places an order on your site, the Volusion system is going to look at the order that's placed. They'll look at the email address and the credit card that was input in. And by the way, this does integrate with PayPal. You can see below. So as people are paying with PayPal, it looks at those factors too. And it basically assesses a score of how likely it is that there's fraud going on here. High risk, it's saying, is if you've got a less than a 21 score. Okay, so this is where you want to take a note. High risk is 21 or less, or I'm sorry, 121. Moderate risk is less than 196. That's moderate. And then minimal risk is greater than or equal to 196. Okay, so in other words, the higher the better, right? Higher the score, the better off we're going to be, the less risk that there actually is. All right, let's scroll up to the top here. Let me read you the definition of the fraud score tool. It says, what is fraud score? Fraud score is an informational tool that helps you gauge risk involved with orders before processing them by identifying traits and historical trends associated with suspicious behavior and fraudulent orders. After analysis, fraud score provides a numerical risk assessment and identifies areas of concern based on criteria examined. All data fields are returned as failed or passed. So let me see if I want to read any of this other stuff to you before we talk about it. This is interesting too. How does the system create the score? As soon as an order is placed, customer information is cross-checked in real time with a large database of thousands of online merchants and more than 100 million transactions. The system also screens more than 15 fields, which include proxy detection and risk assessment, IP address analysis, bank identification address verification, so on and so forth. Okay, so does that make sense, guys? Basically what happens here is when somebody places an order, it runs through all this data and then spits out one of these scores. And the score in this case was 189. So based on what we talked about earlier, at a 189 score, that's saying it's moderate risk, right? In fact, 196 or better would be minimal risk. So it's saying that it's likely this isn't fraud. If the score is lower, like we talked about a few minutes ago, if it's 121 or less in this little fraud score section, that means it's more likely that it is fraud. It doesn't mean that it is, it's just assessing a certain type of risk to it. So that way, as you're getting orders and they're coming in left and right, most of them are going to be minimum to moderate. But if you ever catch one that looks like it's higher, you ought to take a closer look at it. And maybe not do anything at all, but you want to check and make sure that the money that someone has paid is actually sitting in your account. And I actually bring this up more so today. I wanted to make sure you guys knew what that number meant, but it's not. Again, it's not all that big of a deal. So I guess what I mean by closer look, Susan, is you want to look at the order and just look if it seems suspicious. You want to look at the name, the address, the phone number. If you can see anything suspicious, like they put in, a fake number or something, if it's like 999, right? They just put in a fake number. It might actually be a fake order. It just gives you a chance to say, oh, it could be fraud. So I'm going to take a look at the billing information and the shipping information and see if I can catch anything fishy. And then I'm going to check my bank account and I'm going to make sure I've actually been paid. And if all those things are true, then it's likely not fraud and you're okay. But it just gives you a chance to kind of look a little bit closer at the order. I don't know how useful it actually is. Marginally useful probably. I mean, as I've used it over the years, I don't think I've really even paid too much mind to it. I feel like I'm doing this training today more so to answer the many questions I get about it, because a lot of you guys are like, oh no, I got a fraudulent order. Why is there a fraud score? That must mean that something's wrong. It doesn't. It's just a system that Volusion has put into place here. That's the issue. Like you guys are getting your first few orders and you're like, oh no, there's a fraud score. I must be doing something wrong. Well, you're not. It's just everything has a fraud score. So something to look out for. The bigger issue here is what we're looking at right now on this particular order is a fake order that came in. So a lot of you guys have said to me lately, I got an order. Is it, it looks legit. Yeah, I made a sale. But in actuality, when you first launch your site, and even some of you guys get these orders when you're first just starting your site, it's a fake order. It's coming from a marketing company who is actually hoping that they can maybe get your contact information, or they're hoping that you will actually contact them back at their contact information listed here. And they're thinking to themselves, hey, if I can get this person to contact me, then I can actually start a dialogue with them and try to sell them more marketing services or more web design services or stuff you just don't need. It's a tactic that third-party companies use to try to get your information or get you either on the phone or starting a dialogue through email. So in most cases, guys, if you're just working on your site and orders start coming in, they're fake orders. I can almost guarantee it. And the way you can verify it is, you got the order here and it shows up in Volusion, but go check your bank account, because I'll bet they didn't pay you. I'll bet they clicked to order something on your site and it got to the point where they were going to add in their payment information and they bailed. And so it still records it as an order here, and rightfully so. This is actually very useful. It's sort of like an abandoned cart, they call it, where somebody almost orders but doesn't quite order, and maybe there was something that spooked them, and so then you contact them and hopefully save the sale. So this system is great. There's a reason why it's set up this way. The problem with it is when you're brand new, they're most likely not legit orders. They're from these marketing companies, and that's what I want to make sure you guys are aware of. So the other thing with orders too, just so we're clear about this, let me erase my drawings here. Let's go over to settings and then company. I'm not going to go there because this is an actual account, but if I go to settings and company, there's a section there for order notifications. And if you're not getting an email notification when somebody buys something from you, make sure you go to settings and company and change your email notifications. If you can do that, then you can make sure that whenever, this guy, B. Boyd, this fake order that's coming out of Denver, Colorado, when that happens, then you'll at least know about it because you'll get that notification when the order is made. If you don't have it set up there, the only time you're going to get a notification is if they actually make payment through PayPal, and then PayPal will notify you. So then you know it's a legit order, but you still want to be notified from Volusion too, and that's why you'd want to set up those order notifications within settings and company, if that makes sense. Okay? All right, guys, so that's probably all I want to bring up today. Just wanted to make sure you guys understood the fraud score as well as some of these fake orders. These marketing companies will go to whatever length they can to get you on the phone, to get you through email, and then they're going to try to punch holes in your site and tell you, hey, your site's not Google compliant, or, there's some things wrong on your site that we need to fix, or else we're not going to get into Google. And it's all just marketing speak and marketing tactics to get you to buy more stuff. And in every case, our group here, the coaching team, is going to teach you how to do all of this stuff to make your site Google compliant. These are just sales terms that they use to scare you into buying more services, and you don't need them. So I want to make sure we're very clear on that, all right? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I hope that was helpful, especially for those of you guys who are concerned about fraud score. We'll see you guys all for some Volusion training next week, same time. Thanks again.